Okay, welcome to the Showcase Phoenix Business Spotlight. On this podcast, we sit down with badass business owners in the Valley and we learn a little bit more about their story, how they got to where they're at, why they're doing what they do, and the unique experiences that they've had to become who they are, essentially. We like to dive a little bit deeper on the marketing side and see what they're doing to crush it and grow their business so that there's going to be some nuggets of value for you. Stay tuned, take notes. I'm sitting here with Wulf, who's your local.
I am a local, yeah.
And I ran into you a couple weeks ago at an event, and I was like, "This dude has a cool story. We got to share this story out there." And I think I'm going to learn a lot from you, so I'm really excited about that. Hopefully, I'm going to have my notepad.
Good.
But so just for me and everybody else, so what do you do?
So the best way that I can explain that, or that I can portray what I do, because I could go into so many different tangents. I am the infinite banker. So me and my firm, Sovereign Assets, we specialize in infinite banking. And I know infinite banking has been talked about a lot, but the way that we approach infinite banking is a little bit different than most traditional infinite bankers out there that use traditional methods.
Okay.
We have a different spin to it, and it's, in my opinion, it's the improved version of infinite banking because it doesn't just stop there.
Right.
It just takes it a little bit further than the original fathers of infinite banking, like Nelson Nash did.
So somebody who doesn't know what infinite banking is, what is that? And then what is your next level of that? So what is the core of it?
Yeah. So infinite banking, to put it plainly, is the ability to be able to leverage the same dollar twice. Okay. So the same way that banks do 9-to-1 leverage ratio through fractional reserve banking, which for those that don't know, if you have, for example, $10,000 in your bank account, you can guarantee that the bank will leverage or lend out $90,000 because by law, they only have
90,000 or 9?
90,000.
So if you have 10,000 in there?
Yeah, they'll leverage it 9 times.
Oh.
Yeah. So fractional reserve banking allows banks to only have 10% of their liquidity.
Interesting. Okay.
In order to be able to leverage it. So infinite banking basically is something similar, not exactly the same, but it basically allows the owner of the policy to leverage that same dollar twice. And what I mean by that is you're earning interest inside of your policy, average 8 to 12%, obviously depending on market volatility or not, with a 0% floor, which means that you cannot lose any money.
Okay.
Right? So inside of your policy, you're making 8 to 12. And then when you borrow the money, you can go invest it somewhere else. And the reason why you're able to do that and still capture the interest is because the cost of the loan when you borrow the money is less than the interest that you're making. So to give you an example, if you have $100,000 in your policy, and let's just say you want to borrow $50K, that $50K is going to cost you 5%. But that same $50K is also making 8%. So your $50K that you pulled out, you just made 3% internally on top, and now you have $50K that, what can we do with $50,000?
Right.
Do a lot of things, right? You can either buy a Bitcoin, you can scale your business, you can buy a business. A lot of people don't know this, but you want to talk about what's the next step level above it, right? The reason why we're so different, so specific is because now.
So what you do differently is?
What we do differently is that with these infinite banking policies, we are structured them correctly in a way that it gives them, the clients, the most liquidity as soon as possible. So that way they can borrow the money to go buy a business. Now, here's what most people will tell you through infinite banking. First, Nelson Nash came out and said, hey, instead of buying a car, instead of buying your home or going on a vacation and all that kind of stuff, use your life insurance policy to go buy those toys. And then that's when I realized, it's why buy liabilities when you can go buy assets? And now you have people like Mr. Burr and Chris Noggle that basically say, well, go buy real estate with it, which is a great idea, by the way. Much respect to those guys. But now I want to take it a step further, because now the thing is, people can buy a business, an already established cash flowing business, for the same amount of a down payment that it would cost them to go buy an investment property. What the difference is that instead of making
cash flow.
Exactly. Instead of making $200 to $500 a month on an investment property, you can pay yourself a salary that's a lot bigger than that. And all you have to do, you might have to show up maybe a couple times a week to the business. So anybody that has a regular 9 to 5 and they're saving up to exit the rat race, this is a great alternative. And the reason why I say we're so different when it comes to infinite banking is obviously we use a different product. We use Index Universal Life, which a lot of the whole lifers don't like. And I truly believe that they don't like the product because they don't really understand it. And most people out there that peddle whole life and they say that IUL is absolute dog shit is simply just because they haven't sat down and they haven't really looked at the data behind it. They're just talking out of ignorance, which that's how most people do anyways.
Yeah.
So for us, we have a different approach. It's proven, it's been tested, it works. And on top of that, once we get people to buy a business, we at that point with the cash flow, we have them pay back the loans to themselves. So they replenish their own cash value by capturing all of the interest, not just the spread. And then with these businesses that people are buying that they're getting extra additional cash flow, now we have a very unique proprietary trust structure that is bulletproof. And I would love to talk more about the trust structure. However, because of the type of scenario that we're in publicly, it's one of those things that it's secrets of the trade.
Okay.
Which are reserved more for clients. But to kind of give you a brief overview, the reason why we're so unique is because the trust structures that we have available to us, they've been utilized for over 60 years by our parent company that we're partnered up with, which is not a life insurance agency, by the way. It's just a trust and estate planning advisory group. And the way that they've been able to do it has been absolutely phenomenal. You know, the guy that really came up with it was an IRS prosecutor that its main job was to penetrate these type of trusts. And he found out one specific trust that could never be penetrated. And that's what we use today. And if you try to go to any type of attorney group or any other firm, they'll charge you $10,000 to $15,000 for it.
Wow.
Right? We have everything included because think about it. We're making money on the infinite banking policy. We're making money on the purchase and sale of the business, and we're also financing that business. So the banks also pay us a percentage of that as well too. Why would we charge extra to the client?
Sure. That's the reason they would go with you, right? So is your promise like to them, essentially you can say, hey, traditional infinite banking is going to help you get cool things with your assets and everything currently. But why would you do that when you can actually make more money and start to build wealth? And so that's why they work with you instead.
Exactly. Because
you're going to help them make more money.
Yes.
Without needing a huge upfront investment.
Correct. Here's the thing too, is like, I can easily prove that Index Universal Life, when structured correctly, using the right carriers, and like I said, the right structure, will outperform whole life policies because the cost is a lot higher with whole life. The amount of money that people can make through whole life is not as much, not as high, and the infinite banking concept really doesn't work that well with whole life anyways, because the guarantees that they're giving you is 4%, yet the loans are still costing you 5%. So you still have to pay 1% on the money borrowed.
Right.
So infinite banking, as much as I would love to say, yeah, whole life is the best thing ever and it can work because it has guarantees, it just doesn't work now. It doesn't work because you still have to pay 1% fee, 1% interest charge on those loans. So aside from the fact that Index Universal Life objectively will perform better than whole life if structured correctly, the way that we do it is like, we don't just set them up and like be like, hey, have a great day. We basically check in with them every 6 to 12 months, making sure that people are following the plan. Because again, it's like having a strength coach, a fitness coach, whatever type of coach. If the coach gives you the best plan ever, but you don't follow it,
right? It looks bad on the
you
coach.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for us, we want to avoid the amount of people that fall off,
like the risk associated with that. Yeah,
that's why we always we stay on with every single client, and that's why we have a plan set up for them in the future too.
Right.
It's like, hey, look, I know you're setting up a couple $1,000s a month into this policy, 500, whatever the case may be, 10,000. It doesn't matter the number. You're setting up money aside that you're growing every single month, and then 2-3 years from now, we're gonna revisit this conversation, figure out how much cash you've accumulated, and then use that money to go buy a business.
Okay.
Because we have a mergers and acquisition division.
Yeah.
I don't handle that. You know, we have Andrew Aronofsky. He's on our team. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's one of the best in the game when it comes to buying and selling businesses. And he is licensed to be able to help people navigate through the process of buying and selling a business. Because here's the thing. You should buy the business so that way you can revamp it, you can make it better, and then sell it for a profit. That's what Hormozi did. That's what Cody Sanchez does.
That's the whole point, right? Why would you buy something and then like not make more money? Yeah, right? Exactly. You're like,
because
oh, cool.
Here's the thing. The truth is, how do you become a billionaire? You become a billionaire not through real estate, not even through life insurance, not even through buying and selling. But you become a billionaire. I think it is a statistic that 100% of billionaires out there became a billionaire through private equity, or basically really investing and selling and making huge exits. And I could be wrong, but I think that the numbers are pretty.
Well, Hormozi is a good example of that, because there's a reason that he pivoted from gym launch to acquisition.com. Because he's like, okay, well, I'm 100 million. Like, what do I need to get to that next level? He's like, gym launch can't do that, right? No. Not very many things can do that. You need huge equity and 100%. Huge, or little equity in huge companies. You just need to be a part of that, right? A part owner. And his funnel is incredibly smart, right? He just puts out all this free content. Business owners are like, oh, wow, that's helpful. I want him to be a part of my business. So he's just sitting there filming stuff all day.
That's it.
And being a part of these businesses, like he's on the road there,
That's
right?
exactly right.
So you help your clients get into that level, right? Where they can start working towards that.
Yeah, because here's the thing, man. It's like most people will just try to save up money to go buy a business and go through the SBA. It's like, look, instead of people trying to figure that out on their own, we can help them with that.
Right.
And here's the thing too, is like, the reality of it is like how people got to save that kind of money was by setting money aside. The problem is like if they use a savings account and then they liquidate that savings account to go buy that business or whatever, now they're illiquid.
Yeah, they don't have any money.
Right.
And they've been trading their time for money that whole time. That takes forever.
So instead of having people just completely liquidate their savings account, we essentially just teach them to have the same exact concept, but instead of just keeping it in a savings account, now they're putting into a vehicle that's going to average them 8 to 12% of tax-free money. And then they can leverage that money to go buy a business that's going to be cash flowing to then replenish that money. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a way for us to be able to help people not illiquidate themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think it was important.
Not liquidate themselves, sorry. Yeah.
Important you mentioned that you guys want to handle all the aspects of it, right? Like it's pretty much a done for you thing.
Basically, we just don't charge an upfront fee.
Well, so like I had, with what I do, I go back and forth on whether or not I want to handle like posting content, right? Because that's a lot of work. That's a lot of stress. And so I made some content for somebody and it's like, here you go. This is what you do. You post it. And then like they don't do it or they don't get the results. Like who's it look bad on, you know? So
it looks bad on you. It always looks bad on you.
You got to handle all of it and make it more like a concierge service.
100%.
And you can get the results, right? So just get the results for them. Yeah.
That's why there's a very popular life insurance product right now that it basically includes the concierge service. We can sell it. It's not our biggest focus, but basically there's a product right now that it works like a death benefit policy, meaning like somebody just needs final expense, like 20 grand or whatever, just for funeral expenses. It costs them like 50, 60 bucks, if that.
Okay.
But when the person does pass away, all of their funeral planning has already been done. So the family doesn't have to worry about planning the funeral and, figure out where they're going to get the money. Like everything is basically done for them. So now the family can focus on grieving. And that's why that plan is so popular, because now people are like, holy shit, you're like, I don't want to deal with that shit when somebody passes away. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's like everybody talks about financial freedom, and there's all these gurus on Instagram saying, oh, yeah, you can make $10,000 a month doing this. And that is okay, great. But what about like long-term planning, And most people, and this is why I'll tell people this, man. Is most people that think that, oh, but like, I'm not following plan A. Like if I do all this stuff, I'm going to be doing plan B and C and stuff. It's like, no, it's not, dude. It's like any type of business plan, if you've really sat down and you drafted a business plan, it's not just one sentence.
Yeah.
There's so many different steps.
For sure.
Right? Even if, let's just call it plan A. Plan A can have point 1, point 2, point 3, and then it can be A, point A, 1, 2, 3. There's so many subsections through every plan. And the problem is right now is that people are so focused on this toxic hustle culture that tells them is like, burn all your boats, focus on just doing one thing. Okay, let's just say you made $1 million trading. Okay, now you have to pay the IRS 44% of that.
Yeah.
Or let's just say you made $1 million selling houses or whatever the case, dude. Or you have $1 million worth of properties and they're all in your name. Idiot, dude. Now that you have so much exposure.
So you're saying the concept of getting rich and doing things and building businesses is cool, but if you don't have essentially like the structure behind it, you're fucking up, right?
Dude,
you're
you know how I know?
You did it?
Because I got fucked. Because matter of fact, like it's like I've had issues where because I was not structured correctly, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So you know what I do now? I don't try to figure out myself. I hire the people that know how to do it.
Right.
I have one of the best accountants. I have our team at Wealth USA that handles all our trust structures. I have people that are mentors of mine that basically teach us how to structure these plans correctly and when it makes a good fit. We have people that are way much more knowledgeable than I am to buy businesses and sell businesses like Andrew. We have people that are also invested into the real estate field, into the commodities, the real estate developments, the commercial lending. And guess what? I'm not the expert of all of that stuff. But you know who is? My team is.
You know where to find the experts and put them in front of your clients.
Yeah, and the only reason I figured that out is because Tom Ford said, was it Tom Ford? Henry Ford.
Henry Ford, yeah, the button thing. The button thing. Yeah,
He's like, I can press any button and I can have anybody I want, right? I wanted to approach sovereign assets that way. I wanted my company to be that. I wanted my company to be Ford.
Yeah.
It's like if I need someone, I can just press a button and that person is already there. That's why.
Boom, Andrew shows up. Here's how you buy a business.
That's it. Yeah. We even have somebody that if somebody wants to buy gold as a commodity so they can have that.
Yeah.
We have somebody like that boom, button right there. Somebody needs their taxes done, boom, button right there. Yeah. Somebody needs to buy a commercial property, boom, button, it's right there. Somebody needs to buy luxury real estate, boom, right there. Somebody needs business funding, right there. Somebody needs commercial lending for real estate development upwards of 100 million, boom, button right there. We have everything in-house. The one thing I'm an expert on is infinite banking. I don't claim to be an expert in anything else.
Yeah.
Infinite banking, that's my shit. That's my field. That's what I can do. Hands down, I can go toe-to-toe with anybody on this. Because that's what I've been eating, breathing, and sleeping for the past almost decade.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know
because you're only 27, right?
Yeah.
You're like a decade in.
Dude, literally right out of high school, I was blessed to have a huge like fallout, basically. I had a huge issue where basically my life got torn apart.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, I found the life insurance industry. And from there, obviously I made my mistakes. I worked for these practice companies where all you do is like sell overpriced life insurance on a door-to-door basis and stuff. I got my feet wet there. I was one of the top producers at the time. That's why I got the name Wulf, by the way. And then I started like basically transitioning to more of an advisory role because I wanted to learn how to service people. I didn't want to be the life insurance sales guy. I don't want people to know me by that.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to be known by a financial strategist, like a financial architect.
And you were okay with doing that, right? Because you're like, I need to learn this skill, so 100%. I'm going to do that. I did the same thing with 100%. Marketing. I was like, I want to grow an online business. And I'm like, I need to learn marketing. So I got a job for like shitty pay that helped me learn marketing, 100%. You know? So, and now that helps me carry on to where I'm at. I want to, so you touched a little bit about like you're falling out and stuff. Do you want to tell that story? Because I think you tell as much as you want, but I think it's really fascinating. I was talking to, I think it was Chris, but essentially like my family never had much money, right? And so for me, asking for like a certain number from a client or something like that, like feels weird, right? Because to me, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I see people who maybe had a different experience where $1,000 isn't a lot of money. So they're okay with asking for 10,000 or 20, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you had a similar, like you had an interesting life, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, to be honest,
you went up, down, up, right?
Dude, I had everything I wanted as a kid. I was a spoiled kid, you know, and I'm not afraid to admit it. You know, most people try to hide their past and stuff. It's like, dude, like my past is, anybody can know. Like you ask me, I'll tell you the truth. You know, I was that spoiled kid that lived in a very, I would say like a pretty wealthy family where my dad had like a logistics business. And, you know, if you know anything about international commerce and how that works, you can make a lot of money, not only just by consulting, but also commissions and spreads and all that stuff. Anyways, whatever. We had a really, really comfortable life. We traveled a lot. I was good, bro. You know, I was good. You know, I went to private school my entire life. Well, my entire life until I was about 15 or so. Due to some shit that went down in Spain, we had to relocate. But whatever. I went to private school since I was young, and like I said, we had everything we wanted. And then, you know, after my brother was born, it's like almost like everything. Like my dad basically just changed who he was. You know, because all the wealth that we had, it was because of my dad. You know, and look, I'd be a fool to sit here and just badmouth him for the evil man that he was in his later years, and try not to recognize the good man that he was when I was a child. You know, he did so much for us. He worked so hard for us, and he gave me a great childhood. You know, he gave me gave me great memories. You know, with my family. And I don't know why he did what he did, but when my brother was born, it's almost like a switch flipped in him, and he became the villain. You know, he was not the hero that I knew anymore. He became the villain, and basically slowly but surely started to tear family apart. One of the things that I always remember about my father is that he was a very manipulative person. You know, so he knew really well how to talk to people. He knew really well how to emotionally anchor people. And that's kind of what he did with our family. He basically tore my mom and I apart. We kind of hated each other for a long time. And my brother basically grew up very, very neglected, you know, and that's why right now, if you ever meet him, he's like a very shy person. I'm trying to like crack him out of his shell. But my brother's is kind of shy right now because of the amount of neglect. And it's like, you know, when you getting pushed that you don't matter, or that you're just neglected, like you're just kind of like a fly on the wall, you almost become that. You know?
I mean, that's how you've been your whole life, or treated your whole life, right? So you have that belief with you, and that's super tough. So you had a lot of it, like influence with money early on. But where you're at right now wasn't handed to you.
Fuck no, dude. Oh my God, man. I have made so many, bro. Here's the thing. There's like, people think, and I was one of the guys to think about that too. Is like, people think supercars, nice watches, houses, all stuff, the trips, like people think that is what makes someone wealthy with status and all that stuff. And it's like, and it's kind of crazy because I made those mistakes where I spent money on dude. When I first started making money, I went to K Jewelers and bought a $3,000 diamond bracelet that I got robbed like 2 months later.
Somebody robbed the bracelet?
One of my friends robbed that bracelet when I was drunk. You know? And so at that point I was like, what the fuck, dude? It's like I worked so hard for that money. And then again too, it's like when I had my first 10K week when I first started, like fresh off licensing. Also, I made 10K. I think it was like my third, fourth week or something like that. In a week, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, selling life insurance. It was a shit product, but I was great at sales. So I made 10K. Immediately, as soon as I get back, I buy a new car. I buy a $1,000 suit. I buy $500 like shoes. I literally, bro, I spent every single last dollar within a week from getting that money. And even when I first got to the United States, because when I got to the United States, I mean, you know my story. We came here with nothing, like absolute, like nothing. I only had 350 euros that my dad gave me, saying, don't spend it at the mall. Okay? Even though my dad was...
he was well off.
He was super well off. He was lying to us at that time and making us think that he was going to file bankruptcy. But on his personal account, my dad had over 70 grand. And then we found out years later that he had a bunch of different offshore accounts with over $500,000 in each.
And he gave you $350.
$350. Don't spend it at the mall. You know? For an entire summer in the United States. So when I came here, my grandma, my aunt, actually all of my aunts, uncles, and my mom, they put together a few pennies, and they were able to accumulate about $6,000 for me, so I could buy a car, so I could go to high school. You know? And keep in mind, my mom's side of the family, they're all refugees from Iran. They're all like literally just immigrants that escaped the civil war in Iran, like the regime. They don't
have a ton of money, bro, but they're willing to do that for you.
Nothing, bro. If you ever meet my aunt Nasi, she literally didn't even speak the language. She had to basically sleep on the couch of her sister, who basically married another guy who happened to have military benefits. Mm-hmm. This story is so convoluted, man, that it's like my mom's side of the family basically had nothing but struggle. First in Iran, because when they were growing up, mm-hmm. at that time was when the Shah was getting toppled and the what's it called? The Ayatollahs were taking over, okay. and all the radical regimes were taking over and stuff, and all civil war and everything was happening. And my grandfather on my mom's side was also an abuser, mm-hmm. to say the least. Yeah. So all they've seen was just struggle, dude. And they came here, they moved around, mm-hmm. Spain and United States to just try to figure out a way to escape that and have a better life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But again, my family didn't come from money, bro.
Right. They could probably resonate with what you were going through.
Yeah.
When you moved there without any money.
100%. That's why they helped. You know? The only one that had money basically was on my dad's side. It was my dad. Yeah. And look, my dad was a hustler, bro. My dad fucking worked hard for that mm-hmm. money. I can't even hate on him. Like, dude, I watched him work tirelessly every day, bro. Mm-hmm. Sundays included, man. Yeah. My dad worked so much. So I get it, man. Like he made a lot of money. And he was a great, hard worker. Mm-hmm. But when we got here, dude, we had nothing.
When you needed him, it wasn't.
Yeah. He gave us nothing. Yeah. So anyways, my family here, mm-hmm. they saved about $6,000, and fucking little old spoiled ass brat me, even though I went through what I went through for the last 6 months in Spain, through homelessness and all that, I still was like, oh, great. Money, it's mine. I can use it. I'm going to go buy a 66 Mustang.
You blew the $6,000?
Dude, yeah, I blew the $6,000 on a Mustang that had red interior, and because it had red interior, it gave me kind of like a hard on, and I was like, fuck it, I want it. Yeah. My uncle was like, wait, like, let's just don't rush into it, man. Right, make sure like it's the right one. It's like, it's the only money you have, bro. Yeah. I was like, no, I want it. This is the right one. This is what I want. The right one. I drove it for 5 days. And then the engine basically needed to be rebuilt from scratch. There was some sort of leak, some sort of just... Fuck. It was fucked, bro. It was fucked.
And now you don't have the money to fix it.
I didn't have the money to fix it. All I had was $6,000.
Yeah.
I sold it to my best friend's dad, Dallin. He's my best friend to this day, today still, for $2,200. 5 days later, bro.
Man.
All right?
You just lost $4,000.
In 5 days.
Yeah.
And then I went and bought a $700 Camry, which is what I should have done.
Yeah. The most reliable thing,
It's what I should have done.
Right.
And that's what I drove through most of my high school years. Because why? I just wanted to impress the fucking chicks.
Right.
Because I had a sexy accent because I'm fresh off the boat. I have the Spanish accent, and American women fucking love it. Uh-huh. You know?
You want a nice car?
I wanted the nice car.
Hell yeah.
Because I wanted, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I fucked it up.
It's like you're just impressing people. It doesn't even matter, right?
I was trying to impress people.
Put you in a bad spot.
Exactly. I was trying to impress people that today, I can't even remember their names. I can't even remember their faces. If you put a gun to my head, I can't remember 90% of people I went to high school with.
Mm-hmm. But you were so concerned about looking cool for them. And yeah, I mean, that's just like the human thing, right? Like we're just always trying to look better than we are. And especially with social media, that's all you see now is like everyone, it's a highlight reel. And so you look at people, you're like, oh, fuck, this guy's doing so good. Like I need to be doing that, right? Bro. So I'm going to go buy a new car even though I can't afford it. Or I'm going to go do this adventure even though I can't afford it.
I fight the urge, bro, to just go buy a fucking brand new Mercedes or something. Yeah. Because, bro, last year, thank you, Jesus, it was one of the best years of my life. Like it was a great year. You know, financially, I should say. Yeah. Went through some stuff personally, but financially it was one of the best years of my life, dude. And, dude, I was like, fuck, dude, I want to buy an AMG. I was already looking. You know, it's like, oh, if I finance this. But I'm like, hang on a second. What kind of fucking financial strategist or architect am I? If now that I'm having a good year, which, by the way, I'm not talking about millions, dude. I'm talking about a couple 100,000, you know? now I'm gonna go and blow it on a Mercedes or like an AMG. Like, why? Just because I want to paint the picture, bro? Like, come on, dude. That's hypocritical, bro. That's hypocritical.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I did do.
You want
what
to
I
build
did do
wealth
buy,
with that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but what I did do buy though was a '65 Mustang.
Okay.
You know,
red interior.
No.
Ah,
no.
damn.
But I'm buying it kind of like a resto mod.
Okay, that'll be
so
cool. Yeah.
It's at the shop right
It's
now.
like a passion project, right? Like something you're not doing it to be a jackass and flex. You're like, I love this car. I want to make it beautiful.
Exactly.
So when you came over here, dirt poor, you had that influence of money before. And you said you got into insurance, and so you were able to sell, make a lot of money. How did you, I guess, build up to where you're at now, right? Because you own your own company, it's yours.
Yeah.
How did you get there? Because there's a lot, like, it sounds like you've gone through all of the shitty life lessons that you need to go through to like level up. You've gone through them all.
I did a speed run on struggle.
How much can I fuck up? And so that I just get it all out of the way.
You know what's funny, dude? I feel like inherently I kind of just I did that on purpose. It's like how let me see how fast can I fuck up as soon as possible so I can just get it out of the way. You know, I heard Andy Frisella said this. He's like you got to pay your taxes up front and like what was it? In full. Up front and in full. That's what he said.
Yeah.
You know, and then I listened to his story because I listened to his story when I first got into insurance. And keep in mind, dude, the only influences that I had at the time was like Gary Vee and stuff. And then I ran into, the MFCEO podcast with Andy Frisella. And he said it took him 10 fucking years to make more than $56,000 in that 10 years. Can you imagine, dude?
Yeah.
You were working 10 years in your business.
And all you make is 50 in 10 years.
Cumulatively.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. Like most people would give up because it's
most
easy.
Most people kill themselves, dude.
It's so easy to just clock in at McDonald's and make 30, 40.
Dude.
So
you know how often I thought about that shit? It's like, man, this is not fucking worth it, bro.
Yeah.
And then I always keep going back to this, like, dude, if Andy Frisella slept on a piss-stained mattress in the back of his shop for 10 years before he made any money.
Right.
Dude, I haven't even hit my 10th year mark.
Yeah.
I told myself, I will give this thing 10 years. If I haven't made $1 million by my 10th year, I'll quit. You know?
Yeah.
So, I'm glad to say that I don't think I'm going to be quitting anytime soon.
You can keep going.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Good.
Exactly.
Congrats.
So, the way that it's looking, it seems like I'll be able to hit that. So, but anyways, my point is like what got me to that point is I just gave myself perspective, and for some reason I programmed myself to give myself 10 years.
Okay.
Most people say, oh, you could have done it in half of that. Like, I couldn't do it. Like, you could do this. Okay, fine, whatever. That's what works for fucking you, dude. Like, for me, I was like, Albert Einstein said this. He said, a task will be completed within the allotted time given.
Yeah, true. That's super true. Yeah.
So I said, what did I say? I'm going to give this thing 10 years. And guess what? I'm in my 9th year. Our company's already pacing to go blow over that number. Because why? Because I did not rush it. I heard this quote also too from Peaky Blinders. Thomas Shelby. He said, when something is well planned, there is no need to rush.
Yeah. Well, it gives you a bigger perspective too. If you're going from like that mindset of, oh fuck, I need to make $1 million this year, and then you just like you start to really sabotage yourself and like hate on yourself. You're like, I suck, I'm not worth it, like this isn't working out, I give up. And like having that perspective of Andy and pretty much anyone that's super successful, like Gary Vee was a good one, right? He just did his thing forever, and we don't see that with social. Bro. Yeah, we see. Oh, look, another person that's a millionaire. Cool. Another one. Oh, another one.
They don't see it.
Yeah, we don't see the hustle. We don't see all of that, you know? And I have like a secret YouTube channel. I'm at day 190. Today's 190.
Damn.
But every day I just check in, like, here's how much money I made. Here's what I'm doing to grow my business. And it's got like, it's funny because like it's inspiring for a lot of people. And I'm like, hopefully I can look back at like day 2000 and be like, wow, you know,
look at
and
how
even
far
like 6 months ago, you know, my car was broke down. I was riding a motorcycle. It was all fucked up. Like I was walking everywhere, and it was just like my ex and I just broke up. I'm barely making enough to pay rent, like all of this. And now like things have just progressed a lot. So I can look back at that and be like, wow. And I want to be there. and there's no time constraint, right? So that's like what I'm getting at is I don't care if it's day 1,000, day 2,000. I just want to be able to look back on that journey because it's like, it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
And if you're okay with that time frame, you just enjoy the process. And I think you enjoy a lot of the process, right?
100%, bro.
You did something cool. Was it yesterday?
Yeah,
The cigar lounge?
yeah. Well, it's Sunday.
Sunday?
Yeah,
so you get to go out and do cool stuff and like and with that, right? Like the happiness that you get by doing the things that you enjoy, not being a jackass and spending all your money, but just doing things that make you happy, right? In the sake of growing your business, everything comes together. And it's so beautiful to see.
100%.
So you want to be a billionaire. That's what you're chasing.
Yes, multi.
You're gonna do millions this year in your 10th year. Okay, we're gonna manifest that.
Yes.
Billion. What's your time frame for that? Another 10 years? You say, if I'm not a billionaire, 10 years from now I quit.
I probably give myself. When I first started, I said within, and I'm talking about like almost a decade ago. I said by the time I'm like in my 40s.
Yeah.
Like
that's where you want to be.
That's when I have to be a billionaire.
Okay.
You know, ideally, the reality of it is I kind of told myself secretly that it would be by the time I'm 35.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, which is I still got another 7 years.
Dude, I'm 27. I'm 27 too, I think.
Yeah.
27. I don't know. I can't. After 20, I quit keeping track. But so we're like the same age, you know. And I feel like I'm getting old. Like closer I get to 30, I'm like, fuck, time's running out. I need to be doing more.
Yeah.
But there's like that list of people who weren't billionaires or even millionaires until they were 40 or 50, right? So and you think about it, you live to 90, like that's really only half your life. Like we haven't even touched the iceberg. And if you're doing as good as you're doing, billionaire by 40 should be super doable.
Yeah, well, the thing is like most people that say that, it's so funny because I actually even heard someone on a Gary Vee podcast said, oh, well, next year I'm going to be a millionaire and I'm going to come shake your hand. And Gary Vee called her out. It's like, no, you're not. Yeah. It's like, you're not going to do it. And it's like, and I hate that you just said that because how? Yeah. How are you going to get to $1 million? Like you just, like we're talking about how you haven't done shit. How are you going to be $1 million in like next year and come shake my hand? And when Gary Vee said that, I was like, holy fuck. Yeah. He's right. How am I going to get to $1 billion? So I have devised a plan. Okay. I have a plan. I won't share it into detail because I don't want anybody to fucking steal any ideas.
That's what I brought you here for, so I can steal your plan.
But I'll be honest, dude. There's a lot of money into private equity. There's a lot of money in commercial lending. There's a lot of money in commodities. And I am blessed to say that my business partner, Kara and Mitch and John and the people that I have around me, they're very, very well connected. We have very, very high level deals where we're basically rubbing shoulders with multi-billionaires. Yeah. And we have access to very high level stuff that, again, I can't advertise because it's not advertisable. I can't really talk publicly about it. But just know that even if it takes me another 7 years to just do one of these deals, I will get to $1 billion. But the thing is people think that I want to get to $1 billion just so I can have the lifestyle. But that's not the case. I truly believe that if you want to make a huge impact in the world, if you want to really make a difference in the world, and I know it sounds like corny shit, I want to make an impact in the world. But I think at the end of the day, you can only get so many cars. You can only get a bigger house. You can only go to Monaco F1 17 times.
For sure.
Like, you can only do something so much.
And at $1 million a year, you're pretty much like you're good, right? You don't.
I think
need
30
that
million a year. It's like honestly, I think at 30 million a year, you don't notice a difference of anything. Yeah. If you're making 30 million a year, whether you make 30 million to 70 million, the difference of the lifestyle, it's not. The only difference is that you might own a few of the things that you're already using. Yeah. But I heard this from a billionaire friend that he said is like, you know, after 30 million a year, it's just like it doesn't make you don't feel the difference. Like I said, the only difference is you owning the cars, the jets, and all that stuff, right?
So then what's the goal for $1 billion? Why $1 billion?
So, well, the thing is like at some point, people have to realize that they have to have something bigger than them, right? And two things happen once you get to that point. To get to $1 billion and to be able to live at $1 billion valuation, there's only, honestly, two ways you can do it. You either do it through God or you do it through the devil. And if you do it through the devil, now you're operating under the rules of this world.
Interesting.
And if you operate under the rules of this world, then they invite you to the good old boys club in a place that I'm not going to say, which most people should already know. You know, there's a couple places, a couple conventions that happen every year that these people get together. So the thing is if you get to that point, the only thing that you're going to want to do once you get to that level is the same thing that these other people do, which is control.
Yeah.
Now, like those super wealthy people, that's what they like to do. They like control. So you either go towards that side or you go towards the side of God. And in my opinion, I don't want to disrupt anything that those other guys are doing. That's not my business, like whatever. I want to go ahead and I want to help other communities. And the communities I'm talking about, I want to help children that are going through it in many different ways. I want to help underdeveloped countries as well too. Like I really want to make sure that if I do die the next day, like I was like, you know what? At least I did something good for someone.
You had an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not because I believe that because if I do good, I'm going to go to heaven, because I know I'm going to go to heaven regardless, because I accepted Christ in my heart and I believe in him, that he rose from the dead 3 days after. Like I have salvation.
Right.
But what if I could give that same salvation, that same blessing of salvation to children and to other people in the world that don't know Christ, that don't know the blessings that brings? What if I could bless them in his name? You know, if I make $1 billion, 10 billion, whatever the case may be, I have a lot of resources now that I can help a town. I can help a big city.
You do a lot, and you don't need it necessarily because all your needs are well covered, right?
It.
That's okay. I like that.
It's humanitarian philanthropic needs.
I think your mindset has to shift to get there too, right? Like when you're broke, your mindset's like,
I need the money.
I need the money. I need to pay my bills.
Like
I need to get covered, right? And then you get those covered, and then you're like, I need cool things. I need nice things. Like I need a house, right? Then you get there, and then I think most people kind of settle there. They're like, all right, I'm good. And to get to that next level though, you have to shift that perspective. Like I need to help more people, like from here to here. And you need to do that. And so that's what you want to do through 100%. Christ and everything.
Because I believe I'm going to have 7 children. Like I don't know why that number's there. 7, 8 children, whatever.
Okay.
And I want my kids to remember me for the good things that I did.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, inherently, we're all bad people. I mean, we're all born with sin, and I've done some questionable things myself, too, throughout my life. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. Everybody has. Yeah. Everybody has their own demons. Everybody has their own mistakes. So I just want to be able to be remembered as a good man, like a genuinely good man that did good more than he did evil, you know?
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, in this earth, you can't escape the evil.
Right.
Temptation is going to be at every corner. Nobody's perfect. And anybody that tries to be perfect, that's a lie. You know, so I want my children to remember me for being a good man. And I want to be the rule or the exception to that saying that says, show me a good man who's the son of a good man. I want to be the exception to that. I want my children to be good men because they were sons of good men.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you typically don't see that. Like, it's like you've got
the
one and then it falls down. And you think that's because of what you had growing up, right? 100%. That influence. You're like, I want to break that system.
My dad was not a good man.
Yeah.
His father was a good man.
Right. And you want to make sure it stays for as many generations as possible.
My grandfather, he was a college teacher, working class man who was prosecuted by the Nazis and the fascists in Spain. And, he did everything possible to take care of his family. He was an Olympic gold medalist for water polo. So, like, his father was a great, great man. And then, for some reason, just my dad just was not cut out from the same cloth.
Well, I think you're doing good things. I think you're going in the right direction.
Thank you, brother.
And it's so cool to watch. I'm glad we got connected.
Yeah, seriously,
Like, the stuff that you post is cool, and it's going to be cool to see that journey.
Yes.
So, the people that listen that want to get rich and work with you, what do they need to do? How do they get in touch with you?
So the biggest thing that I would say, I mean, my Instagram is available. It says Wulf Trigo on Instagram. It's with a U. So it's WULFTRIGO.
Okay.
People can find me there. That's probably the best way to get in touch with me. But what I would say is, like, before you make the choice to get in touch with us at Sovereign Assets, because we have a big team as well too. Also, the Instagram page is also a good spot. It's Sovereign Assets.
Yep. Okay. Everything will be linked below.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, but I would say before you make the choice to reach out, time is very important. You know, I don't want to waste people's time. I don't want people to waste mine. So what I tell people this is like, if you're not ready to make a commitment to yourself, because this is the same thing as like, I haven't stopped going to the gym since 2017 when I made a commitment. It's the same thing. The same thing that you're making a commitment to also work for your money.
Yeah.
You got to make a commitment for yourself to be able to use and save that money for yourself or invest that money. And until you're ready to make that commitment, we're just not going to be a good fit, because I don't want people to come to us and thinking that, hey, I'm just going to put $100 once and that's going to turn into $1 million. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I tell people this is like, be ready to set aside about 10 to 15% of your income if you want something big, like something big to happen in your life. Otherwise, it's just not going to be a good fit.
So you don't want everyone to reach out to you.
No.
If you're ready, reach out. If you're not ready, get ready.
Correct.
What do they need to do to get ready?
What they need to do to get ready, first they need to take a good look in the mirror.
Okay.
And they need to figure out, what do they actually want in life? If they want to stay at their job, there's not a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
We can set up a supplemental retirement plan that will supplement their 401ks, that will supplement their IRAs. You know, and now if they want to set up a few $100 a month into something like that, great.
Yeah.
But again, they have to have that same level of commitment. So how do people get ready? They have to have that one-on-one conversation with themselves. They have to realize, hey, if I don't do anything now, the longer I delay it, the worse it's going to be.
Sure.
I'm dealing with clients right now in their 50s. How do you think that conversation goes when they don't have nothing, dude? Nothing.
Yeah, that's hard. That's embarrassing.
Can you imagine? You worked 40 years of your life, 35 years of your life, whatever. You have nothing to show for. And it could be for a myriad of things. It could be because either they didn't set anything up and they basically lived on a day-by-day basis, or because they just had the wrong education and put the money in the wrong place.
Right. So there's that saying, you know, the best time to start was yesterday. And that's with everything, with business, with investing,
second best
with growing,
time
is right now.
It's right now. So again, we're opening up to clients. I believe 2024 is going to be the only year that I personally will take on clients.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to work with me personally, this is a time. In 2025, I'm going to be focusing on training my guys and helping them.
Getting it to scale.
Yeah, getting it to scale. And I'm just going to be more of the guy overseeing it. But if you're looking
Better
to
get
change,
in now.
Yeah, if you're looking to change your financial landscape, now is the time. There is no more time to wait.
Cool. Well, man, your story's awesome. Thanks for sitting down
Thank you,
with me,
brother.
man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
We'll see you guys next week for another episode with somebody else. Make sure you check out Wulf's information. He's a cool dude, and I'm glad we got to connect.
Thank you so much, man. And I appreciate the cigar, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna go to George Janko's cigar lounge right now.
Yeah, that looked sick.
It was a great event, man. George is an amazing human being.
Yeah, it was interesting to see him pivot, you know, with the direction away from evil, as you say, right? And what he's doing now, and
exactly,
he got a lot of hate, but he also got a lot of really like true core fans that just love him. Yeah,
true.
Well, cool. All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you so much.